1. I only tell this story because I hope my family is screwing with me. But maybe not. My mom left us when I was 5. And my dad worked a lot. And went out drinking more nights than usual. So no one kept a good eye on me and my sister. We had to move into a cheaper house. And I made friends with a girl in our new neighborhood, named Betsy. She showed me where the train tracks and the broken down tree house were in the woods by her house. She was the only friend I had. And I remember her clearly. We played in the woods, rode bikes, had slumber parties, normal girl stuff. I started seeing less and less of her when I got older, and she eventually moved away, closer to the school she went to. I was over at my dad and stepmom's a couple years ago, and told a story about her, and my dad laughed at me and told me Betsy was imaginary. To which I corrected him, no, she wasn't. She even came with us to my aunt's house for Thanksgiving one year. My dad got serious and said, no, there was never anyone there. You would just go up to your room and play and talk to yourself when Betsy came over. And my sister agrees with him and makes me text my aunt, who also says no, you brought an imaginary friend to Thanksgiving that year. Now I would let it go, and just chalk it up to the mind of child is amazing, but a couple of things freak me out. 1. I very clearly remember her. What she looked like, how she sounded. And I even have a very vague recollection of her room. Not her house, just her room. 2. Where in the hell did I go when I went on sleepovers? I asked my dad this question, and he tells me it's the reason he doesn't drink anymore. 2.
My ex-wife's brother has a couple of twin girls that are very unusual. Among other things, both grandparents on his side have been dead the whole time they've been alive, and when shown a picture of them, they said, "Oh, we know them, they play with us all the time." Also, this happens all the time with them, talking to things that aren't there, together. I have a picture on my phone, my ex-wife sent me, that someone took of them at the lake. And one of them is sitting down in midair. When her dad asked what was up with the picture, she said, "The lady said it was slippery and told me to sit on her lap so I wouldn't fall in."
3. A little after I was born, my sister Julia had an imaginary friend named Jessica. She was Julia's friend for a long time, when things started to get a little weird. At first my parents shrugged it off as a normal occurrence, but after a while they began to believe that our house was haunted. One night, my parents put me to sleep. I began to cry and point at the corner. My mom was still in there, and began to try to comfort me, but I continued to cry and point at the same corner. All of a sudden, my sister walks into my room, and points at the corner and yells, "Jessica, stop it!" Immediately I stop crying, and Julia says like it is completely normal that sometimes Jessica likes to put on scary masks, and scare people. My mom, who was understandably freaked out, stammers to my sister, "Tell Jessica that, if she can't play nice, she can't play here at all." A couple weeks go by, and Julia tells my mom that her eyes turn green when she is mad, and her voice gets deeper. My mom didn't know how to respond to this, and just said, "Okay." Eventually Julia outgrows her imaginary friend, and stops playing with her. A year and a half later, my little sister Abby begins to talk. She then goes on to tell us about her friend, that no one else can see. She then tells my mom about how her eyes turn green when she is upset. I remember this distinctly because she dropped a pen and it scared me. She asked Abby what her name was, and she said, "Jessica." 4. Not a parent, but I do have a story about my little cousin and his imaginary friend. Let's get into details. My aunt and uncle had just moved into a new house in Orlando, Florida. And my cousin never spoke to this imaginary before they moved. Let's call my cousin Sam. I go to their house one day while on vacation, because I live in New York, and I'm pretty close to my little cousin because he used to live across the street from me, and I treated him like my brother. He was about 6 years old when this happened, and it still gives me chills. I'm sleeping at their house for like a week, and I get this weird vibe coming from their place. The feeling of anxiety. I guess I could say anxiety. I really don't have anything else to compare it to. Would always be heightened at around 3 in the morning, because I always woke up to my little cousin next to my bed, in the attic. Attic was remodeled, and turned into a guest bedroom. And he would always tell me about his friend, Morris. Naturally I was freaked out by it, especially since it was always around the same time, at night. On the 4th night, I asked his parents about it, and they told me they've never experienced anything like that with him, and decided to ask him about it. He said he had no idea what they were talking about. Come the next night at 3 a.m., I try to have a conversation with him, and he keeps repeating 3 words. "Why'd you tell, why'd you tell, why'd you tell?" Over and over again, until I tried to talk to him, and he started telling me about how Morris would appear in his dreams at night and eat dinner with the family. When they were at the table, I asked him how he got to meet Morris, and he told me that Morris came up to him and asked him if he could come inside. And he was always a very polite kid, and he said, "Yay, sure, come in." That's when Morris started to talk to him, and would be by his bedside at night, talking to Sam. Sam said he enjoyed Morris' company, and it made him feel safe. I told his parents the next day and they got pretty scared. They thought I was making it up, and didn't believe me. The next and my final night, there I heard some faint thumping under my bed, and at this point, I'm so scared, but I peeked under my bed to find my little cousin there. And these are the last words I heard from him before I got the hell out of that house. "I'm protecting you from Morris. He said he can't trust you and needs you gone. Morris won't hurt you if I protect you." I swear I ran faster than I ever have before, and made it at least 3 blocks down, before my aunt and uncle started chasing after me, and told me to stop. They asked me what happened, and didn't believe me. because when we went back upstairs, Sam was in his bed, sound asleep. I went back home the next day. Fast forward a few years. I asked Sam if he remember any of this or of Morris, and he told me he had no idea what I was talking about, and I left it at that. I have never told anyone else besides his parents about this, until now. 5. I was 17 and babysitting a friend of the family's 6-year-old boy. He'd been in bed a couple of hours, and I just peeked in to check on him. He wasn't in the bed when I checked, so I opened the door wider. When I did this, I saw he was standing in the corner, facing the wall. Then the creepiest thing ever. I asked him what he was doing, and all he did was turn around, smile, and put his finger to his lips. I asked him again what he was doing, and all he says is, "Leave us." It is the punishment